I personally don't think debt is bad if it's in the right situation. Banks want to see 2 to 3 years of experience typically. So that's going to be a higher risk deal that we would typically say, there's no cash flow, we can't help you out on that. But this gives banks a route for less risk because the government is going to guarantee most of the time it's 75% up to 90% of that loan. So then the banks are carrying less risk on the balance sheet.
Good morning. Welcome to Season 3 of the Spotlight Podcast. My name is Courtney Butler, and I'm the Chamber Manager for the Greater Kokomo Alliance.
And I am Caitlin Sheets. I'm the Economic Development Manager at the Alliance. And today we have another episode with a guest from Community First Bank. We have Jonathon Malin. I'll give you an opportunity to just introduce yourself and maybe your role at the bank.
Sure. Yeah, thank you. Jonathon Malin, so currently serve as Chief Commercial Banking Officer at the bank. So I manage the commercial lending team, our SBA, Small Business Administration Group, and then Treasury Management.
Okay. So the SBA, Small Business Administration.
Sure.
What is it? And how is this implemented in the community in a way that people can take advantage of?
Sure, yeah. So the SBA, they work with banks throughout the country to partner with them, and it provides financing for usually a startup company, business acquisition, or it can be a real estate related deal too. It provides funding that banks wouldn't do conventionally typically. So say you have a startup that doesn't have proven cash flow yet, but it does have collateral related to the loan. It gives the bank an opportunity to partner with them, and then they guarantee usually 75 to 90% of the loan. So that goes off the bank's balance sheet, and we keep our portion of the financing. And so it really allows business owners to obtain financing when they traditionally wouldn't through a bank. So that's how it really benefits the community that way.
Okay.
So how did you get started within this? Is Community First where your first stop was, or how did you start in your career?
Yeah, so no one really goes to school for banking, right? So I was actually just looking for a part-time job while I was attending IUK here in Kokomo, and started as a part-time teller. And did that for a couple years, and then there was an opening in the commercial credit department. So I took that role and kind of learned the underwriting side of it. And then as time progressed, I actually left and went to Huntington Bank over in Columbus, Ohio for a year, and found out pretty quickly that I did not love the regional bank. It just didn't have the community feel like I was used to. So I came back, and I've been back for 11 years working in the commercial lending department.
Wonderful. So what would you say your favorite part of your role is now, and how your role has changed within that too?
Sure. My favorite part now, and it's probably been this way since working in the commercial lending department, is just the different businesses that come in. I mean, you get to see so much and go out and tour and see, what they're doing day to day in the trenches. I think it's really neat to have that opportunity. Not a lot of people get to go and, meet so many people and hear their story and how they got successful and all that. And yeah, now I'm kind of in more of a management role. So I still carry a loan portfolio, but I've been ordered by Rob that I have to get rid of that and disperse it out to the other team members. So yeah, it's changed quite a bit, but I'm still, talking to customers daily and involved in the community that way.
I really love these episodes that we do with the people who work within the bank. Our first episode actually was with Rob.
Sure.
And I think it just really set the tone for what this podcast is. And I guess I should say, what we want to do is amplify the voices and the experiences of small business owners and decision makers in the community, people who are doing it really well. You kind of spoke about you went to a different bank and didn't like the feel. Is there something different about Community First? Is there something that should draw people to if you're needing help with funding your business? Why Community First?
I think we serve as local advisors to business owners. Yeah. So, if you're talking with a regional bank, the decision makers are in a city somewhere in another state typically. So
yeah, that's a good point.
We have a group here. I mean, I'm one of the approvers at the bank. So, I mean, we're looking at deals every day. And so we have the ability to, meet the business owner, hear their story. which a lot of, larger regional banks, you're going to be talking to someone over in Cleveland or somewhere, so it's a much more local feel.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What does a successful loan application process look like for someone?
Sure. Depending on what type of business or if it's a real estate transaction, it typically starts with a meeting with the lender and the business owner, and really getting to know them, hear why they need the funding, what they want to do with it. And then, if we decide to move forward, we go through the underwriting process, which usually takes 2 to 3 weeks. And then depending on, say it's a real estate transaction, after approvals, we would order appraisal, title work, so you're looking at another 45 to 60 days until closing, probably.
Hi, this is Ariel, Fraud Manager at Community First Bank of Indiana. We hope you've been enjoying the episode so far. If you're a business owner, you already know that there's a lot to manage every day. And unfortunately, fraud is one of those risks that never takes a day off. As you're listening today, here's a question that you might be glad you asked. What can I do now to reduce my risk of fraud? Step 1. Develop strong internal controls by monitoring your bank accounts daily and conducting regular audits of your financial records. Step 2. Implement strict payment controls such as requiring dual control when submitting ACHs or wire requests. Step 3. Protect your financial data. Use multi-factor authentication on all of your online accounts and never use public Wi-Fi to check your bank records. Step 4. Educate yourself and your employees on how to spot common scams targeting small businesses such as phishing scams and social engineering tactics. This is key to preventing financial loss. Thanks for letting us jump in and be a part of the conversation. If you ever want to chat or need help thinking through options, our team is here to help. Community First Bank of Indiana is a member of the Federal Deposit Insurance Corporation. All right, we'll let you get back into the main interview.
So what are some misconceptions that you see small business owners see with an SBA loan?
SBA, it's government guaranteed, right? So it is a bit of a lengthy process. A lot of government paperwork is involved in that process, and so you may initially come in thinking you can get funding in a couple weeks, but it's going to be 60 to 90 days with a government guaranteed loan like that.
Oh, wow.
I think that a lot of people, it's cool that you're here and you're able to talk about this in a personal way, but a lot of people, they either have never heard of the SBA.
Sure.
They don't know what it does. Why do people not talk about this resource enough?
A lot of banks, I can think of a couple local that don't really do SBA lending. So I think you have to find someone that's partnered with the SBA to, learn about the program.
Yeah.
And like I said, it is a pretty rigorous process to get through, and they are a little higher rate too. So it's not the cheapest loan you're going to get.
Okay.
But it does allow someone, like I said earlier, that couldn't get a conventional loan. It is an option for them.
So what does that mean? If somebody comes in and they're not fit for a conventional loan, maybe why would that be? Or
Sure.
what are differences between conventional loans at SBA?
Yeah. So to answer your question, why would that be? It's typically someone's doing a startup restaurant that doesn't have proven cash flow. So banks want to see 2 to 3 years of experience typically.
Yeah.
So that's going to be a higher risk deal that we would typically say, there's no cash flow, we can't help you out on that. But this gives banks a route for less risk because the government is going to guarantee most of the time it's 75% up to 90% of that loan. So then the banks are carrying less risk on the balance sheet.
Got you.
Yep.
Have there been instances where somebody has come into you and said, Jonathon, I really need XYZ to accelerate my business to the next stage, but I'm not quite sure how to get myself ready to actually apply?
Sure.
And
Yeah,
what do you do?
we talk to people all the time that are maybe just, have an idea but aren't ready to execute yet. So we'll meet with them and talk about, things like business plans. I think Bob was on this and talked about that.
So good.
He's a master at that.
Yeah.
So yeah, we'll kind of give them the list of information they're going to need, and then tell them to get to work and come back and see if we can partner with them.
And is it a super formal process, or, how do we kind of break down some of the barriers to entry for people?
No, it's really meeting with a lender and just sitting down like this and kind of telling us what you're looking at doing, and then we put our heads together on what options might look like and what the process is.
Yeah.
Definitely start of the business plan, but what is one piece of advice that you would want to give to a small business owner before they came into your office?
I would just say, be prepared to talk about the why behind your business, what you plan to do with the funding, and why you're going to be successful. I think, having that laid out in your mind and on paper too is also helpful.
How big of a piece in that decision that you as the bank make are financial projections?
So if it's a startup, that's a requirement, something we have to have. So we'll typically ask for 2 years of income and expenses, and then kind of a startup balance sheet as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we can, I sit down with people all the time that have never done it before, right?
Right.
So we work as an advisor and stuff like that for business owners.
I have found that even in our business pitch competition or, other things that we do that provide opportunity for people, even just saying the word financial projections really scares people, has them shaken a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Are there resources out there that even if you don't want to go like in person to talk to someone, you don't feel like you're ready for that yet, can you get online and Google something, or where do you learn?
Oh yeah, I'm sure with AI now there's all kinds of stuff out
right,
there.
yeah.
But and we have a template too that we share with people that it lays everything out for them really, so they just have to go in and fill it in, and we can walk them through that as they go through the process.
Neat.
Interesting. So if there's one thing that you want every entrepreneur to know when looking through the SBA loan and financing and working with the bank, what do you think that would be?
I would say that, once you establish a relationship with a bank, hopefully Community First, that don't be afraid to, if you're having problems in your business, tell us early in the process. Don't come in later.
Yeah.
Because sometimes it's too late and it's, we can't throw more money at a situation. But if you, work with us as a partnership and let us know early if you're having problems that, maybe it's a solution, or we can come up with a solution to fix it.
Are there, I'm sure there's a really wide range of like requests and things that you see from business owners. On kind of the small end, what are some of the things that you see?
I'd say working capital lines of credit. So someone will maybe need $50,000, say, just to fund some expenses for, say it's a seasonal business, they need to keep people on payroll or what it might be for a few months. So I'd say we see quite a bit of, small credit line requests. And then on the smaller end too, we do single family rental home financing too. So you'll see those for 100,000 here and there. But with the rental market right now, it's a pretty good investment for people. So
definitely.
Yeah.
And then like larger end.
Sure.
Are there big projects or maybe like things that you get really excited about that you think like, I'm the specialist in lending for this area?
Yeah, I think we do a lot of real estate transactions. So having a part in those and seeing, the development over the years in Kokomo alone has been pretty rewarding.
Yeah. We're obviously very passionate about the development of
Sure.
Kokomo. Are there things that you see happening in Kokomo that get you really like fired up, like this is going to accelerate us, to, just further beyond as a really neat city and a destination spot?
Yeah, I think the hotel and convention center being downtown is going to be, a driver for all the businesses down there too, all the restaurants and people, right? If there's a convention with 600 people down there, they're going to get so much business. And I think that's really cool for a community of our size to have something like that in the downtown.
Definitely. And do you look at that and think like, here's a situation where businesses need to take advantage of this?
Yeah, absolutely.
And how do they do that?
I would, partner with Jacada or the Kokomo Conference Center team and see how they can, partner with each other and, work as partners to generate business, because like I said, that's an influx of people to the downtown area. So, all the restaurants and everybody should be, I would hope, thinking of ideas of how they can capitalize on it.
Yeah. And it seems like people already have been. Like, we hear rumblings of people talking about, experiential type of things that they're adding downtown.
Sure.
For downtown businesses, if you're listening and you haven't thought about it yet, Jonathon brought up a great point. There's going to be events, weekly, every weekend through the work week, monthly big conventions. And it's going to bring a whole new level of tourism and visitor spending to our downtown businesses that, maybe they see on a smaller scale right now. But this is definitely the time, I think, if you're considering expanding or adding new products or taking on debt, which I really want to talk to you about, like, this is the time. Do you find that people are concerned or have reservations about taking on debt, though?
Yeah, I mean, it has to make sense for the business owner, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, I talk to people weekly that are, hey, I've got this idea, but I'm just not sure. And so, we try to talk through the numbers with them and see if we can, make it make sense on paper, right?
So is debt bad?
I'm not Dave Ramsey. Like I said, I just think it has to be a situation that makes sense. So if you're investing in a real estate, a commercial property or something,
Yeah.
are the leases there, or are they going to come to be able to make the payments and taxes and make it make sense? So I personally don't think debt is bad if it's in the right situation.
Right. It's got to be a way that you can leverage to
Yeah, or
advance
if it's
to
a
something
manufacturing company, they're not going to get paid for 90 days after they provide the product, so they're going to need a line of credit to make up for that timing gap. So
Right.
I don't think debt in that situation to help them succeed is a bad thing.
How have you seen, so since you've been at the bank for, did you say 11 years?
I've been back for 11. Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
How much of the economy and small businesses has changed in that process, and how SBA loans have changed too?
Yeah. So I think in Kokomo specifically, I mean, I've been back for 11 years, and I mean, parts of downtown you wouldn't even recognize now, right? All the
Yeah.
development down there. And then there was the battery plant boom there for a while, so that was an interesting time. We got to meet a lot of people from different parts of the world.
Sure.
So yeah, it's definitely looked different. SBA loans are tough though too. They're typically based on the prime rate and they're floating. So when COVID hit and rates bottomed out basically, and then over the last 3 or 4 years, rates have been rising. So it's been tough for some of those people. So that's part of the business that's not always fun to see.
Sure.
Some of those have to close their doors just because they can't afford to make payments anymore.
So did you find that when like Korean business travelers were in town a lot, were they surprised at the way banking was done here? Or what kind of differences did you see culturally, I wonder?
Most of them were pretty well educated on the American banking system, so I don't think they were surprised much. They like to discuss interest rate a lot, so that was kind of an interesting thing.
Okay.
Had to do some negotiating on some deals there, but and then we saw the influx of Korean restaurants too, so that was kind of cool to be able to help finance some of those and try some good food.
Definitely. Are there what do those conversations look like in the redevelopment board, for example? Like that's another, it's a group of people who are helping to just progress our community forward, but what does that look like behind the scenes?
So it's typically the business owner coming to the city with a project and asking, is there a forgivable loan that you guys would put into this if I redevelop this property?
Right.
So as a board member, I don't really see it until it's time to come for approval. But fortunately, I've been able to work with a lot of those customers through the bank as well. So kind of partnered on the bank side and the redevelopment commission side. So it's been neat to see the full process.
Awesome.
So if someone looks at something like that, or they're looking for a new idea, besides SBA and the bank, is there any other resources that you would point them to? And I'm thinking of, like, we want them to be as prepared as we can. So kind of shout out to Bob in the previous episode talking about your business plan, but that's far more than that. What are some resources or things that you can point small business owners to
So I'd say Tim's team.
at the Indiana Small Business
Yeah,
Development Center?
absolutely. They have a lot of resources, and I mean, they'll even help with writing a business plan. So I've directed people over the years to that team. So I think that's a great local resource because we have an office here in Kokomo, and that's not very common for most
sure,
communities. So yeah, that's probably the biggest one I could think of.
So isbdc.org.
Yep. And then they do office hours. They have an office now at Innovation Hall at IUK.
Mhm.
So you can schedule office hours with them, go in and ask any questions. And it's a totally relaxed environment like this. You don't have to have all the answers figured out. That's why you're there.
Absolutely.
I think it's important that people see that, within this, we're amplifying all of those resources that are out there to kind of break down barriers, make small business ownership accessible for people.
Sure.
But there's obviously still work to do on that. what kind of barriers are still there? What kind of things hold people back from not even, advancing their business or scaling their business, but even starting one?
Yeah, I mean, the commercial financing process probably isn't the most common for people. So I think just the lack of education, they don't know what they don't know. So that's why I always encourage, I mean, come meet with us at the bank. We're here to help and advise, and go meet with Tim and his team. They're great to work with, and they have a ton of resources. So yeah, I think it's just probably lack of education.
Yeah.
I've always said they should teach a class in high school about commercial financing and things like that. It'd be so helpful, because I didn't know anything about it until I started working at a bank. So
yeah.
Yeah.
So what did you think you were going to do when you entered your career?
I really had no knowledge of banking and just started part-time on the retail line. And then was fortunate to meet Rob Bloom, Bob Hickman, Mike Stiegel, and kind of learned through them about the commercial financing world, and really learned to underwrite them, the loan requests at first. And I think that was probably a key foundational piece for me, because now I can pick apart tax returns in 5 minutes and tell you if we have a deal or not, So
Right.
Yeah.
So you've gotten to be really, really good at finding businesses that you think this person is trustworthy, we can invest in them, this is going to be a positive investment.
Yeah.
What are some of those green flags to you?
I'd say someone that has a well thought out, organized plan, someone that knows the numbers. So anybody can put a projection together, but when you start opening the doors, and it doesn't always work out like you think it might, but knowing how to adjust and adapt is something that, I always look for in people.
Yeah, definitely. And we've talked with several of our guests now about, the ability to pivot. It's not something that's always comfortable for people. Sometimes we have a plan in our head of, I'm going to start here, and then this is the next step. Everything's going to go as planned. This is the next step. This is how I scale. How often does that actually work out for the businesses that you work with, for example?
I don't have a percentage in my mind right now, but I'd say probably more than not, they have to be pretty flexible.
Yeah.
They could be a manufacturing company and they get a contract, and then 12 months later it's not there anymore. So what are they going to do now, right? So they have to be flexible and able to maybe expand into a different product line that they weren't thinking of. So it's pretty common.
Yeah. And do you think, is that a skill that people learn over time? Are there some people that are better at that than others? I imagine, especially, on contract type of jobs like that, where people are securing money to satisfy a 12-month contract, and then you kind of get to the end and you're like, what do we do now?
Sure.
Are there people who are more successful at that than others? And what do they do that makes them successful?
Yeah, I think definitely there are people that are better at that than others. I think they just have to have a mindset of always thinking forward, I guess is how I'd say it. Because the situation can change overnight, and that can affect employees and everybody at the company. So you have to be able to either go into a different product line or find a new contract or something. So just being flexible and willing to, find opportunity.
Sure. Definitely. Are there areas, of the downtown, city center where you think this type of business would be really good here? Like, are you looking or maybe attracting business types to come into the bank, or are they finding you?
Yeah, so we've been really fortunate at Community First to have a pretty good reputation in town, and I think word of mouth has been the biggest for us.
Definitely.
We don't really have to get out and cold call on anyone.
Nope.
It's usually they come to the bank.
Shout out
And
to their marketing team.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, they do a great job. But yeah, I can't. And as far as attracting something to downtown right now, I mean, it seems we have a good mix of a lot of things these days. I mean, 10 years ago it was so much different, but
Yeah.
yeah, it's been really fun to see it develop.
And I keep asking everybody from Community First, what do you think downtown's going to look like in 5 more years or 10 more years? How does it change?
Yeah, I think it's been interesting to see kind of the development north of downtown a little bit, like Buckeye Street, and even north of that now has been redeveloped. So I think there's going to be a push maybe to kind of keep expanding that way is what I would look to see for in the next 5 years.
Awesome. Are there, we have this still small town type of feel
Sure.
in Kokomo. even though we're growing and expanding in different ways. The growth is wonderful for our businesses. I think that sometimes, I'm sure we've all heard it, people get a little bit antsy and say, we don't want to be like Carmel or Fishers.
Sure.
We don't want to be like Westfield. What do you say to those people who are scared of growth in our community?
Well, I think, I'll quote Rob Bloom here, but he says if you're not growing, you're going to die, right?
Yeah.
So I think that's a way to remind people that, this growth has been great for everybody, and it comes with pains at times, but it's better than just being stagnant and having no opportunity. So
Definitely. And it's the way that, we all have jobs so that we can make an income and go home and feed our families. And it's just, being competitive even with our neighboring communities, I think is good for us.
Yeah, it's good for everybody.
It makes us better. It makes them better, the same way that competition within businesses and with industries makes them better.
Yeah.
So I think it's important, and it's exciting for us to see all of the growth that's happening, not only downtown, but throughout our entire city and our county.
Yep.
So what do you think is next, not just for downtown, but like for Community First, for example, or for you at the bank?
Sure. For me personally, I'm pretty content in my role right now, so I'm not sure what's next, but we are looking at building branches over the next few years, so we'll probably continue to expand in the Hamilton, Boone County area. Zionsville is very, very hot right now, so we're looking at land there to put a branch up. So I think that's probably our growth plan over the next 4 or 5 years, is to add 2 to 3 more branches.
So how does that change like the tone of Community First, right? Because this has started right here in Kokomo, in Howard County.
Yeah, I think we stick to our roots, right? So continue to be community focused and involved in the community. We expanded down to Hamilton County, and we volunteer everything down there, it seems like. So I think if we continue to stay to our roots and help small businesses grow, that it'll be a success for everyone.
I've been thinking a little bit about the SBA loans, and what are other loan opportunities are there at the bank besides SBA? I was kind of thinking about like maybe someone does have that cash flow. What would that look like?
So yeah, that would be probably more of just a conventional loan just through Community First. We wouldn't have the government guaranteed involved in that. So that's, if there's an established company that's been around for a while and they need an operating line of credit or want to buy a building for their business, they would probably qualify for more of a conventional loan. So it's more of a quicker process and more favorable on price for them.
Sure. Yeah. So you said that timeline, would that be kind of cut in half from what we
it's definitely
previously?
a quicker process, 30, 45 days instead of 60 to 90.
Does someone have to know, I'm thinking about like if I were starting a business right now, do they have to know what they're going in and asking for? Sometimes it's hard for even people to put together the ask. We do our business pitch competition, and we take applications at the beginning of the year, every year. It's kind of a few-month application process. We interview everybody, and of course we ask them, okay, you're applying to pitch and potentially win $10,000. What do you want to do with it? And they know they need it, but they don't necessarily always know what they want to do with it.
Sure.
Do you have conversations like that?
Yeah, all the time. We see people at all different stages of business. And so some of them have no idea what a commercial loan is. So we have those, and some have been, using bank financing for 15 or 20 years. So yeah, you see a little bit of everything, but that's why we're here, right? So that's what my job is, to help small businesses grow. And so I think I'd encourage them, don't be afraid to just give us a call and set up an appointment. We're happy to talk with anyone.
Yeah. Something I really love that Mayor Moore always says whenever we have Small Business of the Month or ribbon cuttings, which I'm sure you know what I'm going to say, he always says that small businesses are the cornerstone of our economy.
Sure.
I'm sure that you've seen that to be true. Are there cornerstones independently in our economy that you thought like, wow, I worked on this project 10 or 11 years ago, and here they are now, for example, they're really a player in the local economy?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, without using any names, there's a local company that as a contractor, started out building homes, and then, now they've expanded into investing in commercial properties all throughout Kokomo. So yeah, I can drive around and, point out different ones that, they started small and now they've done well and are very successful in multiple business ventures.
So do you continue coaching them throughout the process? Do they still come to you and ask, Jonathon, I'm at this maybe inflection point in our business. What do I do next?
Yeah, I mean, that individual that I'm thinking of, yeah, they'll call me almost, every time they're looking at doing another deal and just say, hey, here's what I'm thinking. What do you guys think about it? Or you think I'd have any problems getting approved? And so we talk through that all the time. So yeah, definitely involved on the front end of a lot of it.
Yeah. So that's important for people to think about, because not only are you giving people access to funding, but you're acting really as like a coach and like a consultant, free in some ways, but there's an important piece of that I think that more people probably need to take advantage of, because I've said this a couple of times now, but if you're the smartest person in the room, you're probably in the wrong room.
Sure. Yeah.
So it's important to go and seek the experts and know, I can't do every aspect of this operation on my own. There are experts for a reason. Have you seen people struggle with that maybe, or kind of releasing some of the pride of doing everything themselves?
Yeah, I mean, when you start a company that's smaller, you kind of wear all the hats and do all of it. But as I've seen some of them grow, yeah, they definitely have struggled to maybe let go of that control a little bit, because it's their business they started, right? So, but yeah, I think, building the right team around you is a very important thing too in business. So
definitely. We've kind of visited leadership within the bank, and I say to literally everyone that I talk to about Community First Bank, like this is not even, a plug for the bank. This is me just saying that the way that Community First Bank started, with very humble roots, like humility, truly to the core of the leadership within the bank. How do you exemplify that in the way that you lead your team now?
I often remind our team that we don't need to go chasing the $5-10 million loans. Let's keep in mind that we were built on financing companies at maybe a $50,000 level that grew into a $5 million need.
Right.
So I just try to remind everybody to, we don't need to go chase the giants all the time. It's the small business owners that helped get us started, and we need to continue to support them.
Yeah. And ultimately, if you coach someone through the process of business development appropriately, like you said, they can become that larger need.
Yep.
And then you're the trusted resource that they come to you. Like, you probably have a lot of pride in that, in coaching people along and seeing them really, really develop and scale.
Yeah, it's been great. And that's what we're all about at Community First, is building relationships, right? We don't want a one-off transaction and forget about that. We want to build a relationship where we're walking through, the whole process over years and years with business owners.
I think it's really cool too that Rob talked about that sometimes no is the best answer that you can give.
Sure.
And seeing like how, I think about one of our contestants on the drive competition. She lost her first year and took everything that she was coached through with the judges, and came back and won it the second year. And I think that is a true testament to, like, even if you go to the bank and there is a no, I think that you give that advice, and there's no charge to them, correct?
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think that even if you have that idea, I think that's a really valuable resource between ISBDC and our team, and then your local bank.
Yep.
Keeping those people in your corner on your team is really important too.
And I would say even it speaks to the character of the person. If they can pick themselves back up after hearing no in a situation that's pretty intimidating.
Sure.
It's intimidating to go in and ask someone for money.
Yeah.
In a commercial lending setting, especially. And I love that you said that about the drive competition. We have someone entering for the second time again this year.
Awesome.
And it makes me smile so big, because I'm so proud of these people that we help, through the process. And it's I think, yes, it definitely says something about the grit and the tenacity of the person if they really have the humility to just pick themselves up by their bootstraps and go and ask again or present again.
I think too, like you're not saying no because like, dang, I don't want to fund them. It's because there is risk within that, and that it's really saving them because they may not need it, or it might not be good for them, and it might result in them closing their doors. So I think that's really, it shows a powerful statement, and that if you can pick yourself back up and go after it, then you're going to be more successful in the long run. Definitely listening to all of that feedback and advice that you get could make you more successful. I mean, shoot, look at our winners.
I know, it's cool. It's so cool competition.
Yeah.
Do you have regrets? Are there businesses that you've looked at and you've said either yes or no in one way, and you look back and maybe definitely. It keeps you up at night? Like,
yeah, there's always that in banking.
Yeah,
I mean, I've made loans that I probably shouldn't have before.
Yeah,
it's part of the business, but yeah, I mean it's part of it. You learn how to get through it and work with the business owner through that too. So it's really based on the relationship you have, I think. So.
Yeah. So you said something that I've been thinking about, which is true in literally any job ever. You know, because essentially if you lend someone money for their business, they're kind of working for you, for example, you know, to pay that back. So talk about like the importance of, and maybe what the conversations look like. If you lend someone money to do something within their business and there are problems, what does it look like if they come to you early enough with the problems versus too late, sound the alarms, like this is really bad?
Yeah. I mean, I've seen situations where maybe someone has a 30, 60-day window where they need $100,000 to get through it, right?
Sure.
So come to me a month or two before that hits, and we can probably help you.
Yep.
But I've also seen where, unfortunately, there's lenders online out there now that are providing working capital loans, and they can fund it quick within a couple days, but interest rate's 20%. And then it's weekly payments of thousands of dollars, and so they go and get those instead of coming to me.
Yeah, that just made me sweat a little bit.
Yeah, and I mean, unfortunately, it has put a few out of business just because they can't keep up with that. And I don't think it should be a legal way to lend money, but it is, unfortunately.
I think just paying attention to and looking at those things, that same day funding sounds really great, but looking at what that payment schedule looks like, and potentially too, where that interest is, and looking at long term what you're actually paying back.
Absolutely.
I think that's really important.
Yeah.
That's this culture, though, almost of like instant gratification.
It is. Yeah.
And also, I think it's important to to note that if it's too good to be true, especially with money, it probably is.
That's a good point.
Have you seen the culture, or I mean, maybe like the asks of people when they come in change versus, you know, when you started versus where you are now? Or
yeah, I think the timing is the big change.
Right.
You know, because we went through COVID and did the Paycheck Protection Program loans, and we were funding those in hours, right?
Sure.
And so it seemed like after that, everybody kind of forgot how long the process can take sometimes. So that's probably the biggest change I've noticed, is the people's demand of timing.
Do they get frustrated if it takes too long? I mean, how do you manage that?
I mean, I just am upfront with them on the, you know, at the start of the process that, hey, here's the reality of how long this is going to take. So, and kind of remind them that COVID is over, hopefully forever, and that is not a realistic timing. So,
are there other opportunities that you find through conversations to coach people? Like, even if you tell someone no,
sure,
in building that relationship with them, can you continue to coach? And what do you see that people need help with?
I mean, if it's a startup, probably the financial projections is the biggest challenge. We see some that are pretty lofty in their presentation, and, you know, talking just realistically with them about, hey, here's another customer I have in a similar industry, and here's kind of in the ballpark of what they're experiencing right now. So, and then having them go back and rework those, and then maybe bring us something that's a little more realistic, and definitely can try to work with them.
Are there other opportunities really that you think like, man, I wish the state of Indiana, or just like our local, you know, anything, do you think like, I wish we had more of this for business owners to take advantage of?
I mean, I think business owners really, I've always said you need to find a good commercial lender, a great accountant, and an attorney are the three that I always tell people to partner with. And then, yeah, like if it's a startup, Tim's group, just really utilizing those resources that are out there is, something.
Education.
Absolutely.
Find the experts.
Yeah, and don't be afraid to ask questions. I mean, that's why I'm here to
Yeah.
help advise and hopefully partner with people.
Definitely. That's true in any aspect of life. You know, it even goes back to like when you were in school and it was, you know, you got like rewarded almost for asking questions
Sure,
and participating. Like that really is how you learn.
Yep.
Are there other resources, not even necessarily within the bank, but thinking like educational perspective? Are there modules online that you know that people can go and look at if they're business owners, for example, who can't get into the bank during business hours?
Sure. I mean, I think there's the podcast world is a good resource. There's tons of business podcasts out there, and
Yeah.
you know,
Thank
you hear
you.
all the time, how people got started. Like I listened to the one about Chipotle. It's just fascinating how he started that and
Oh, I haven't
what it's
listened to that
grown
one.
into. Yeah, but I think listening to other people's stories that have been in the trenches of business, you can learn a lot from them and how they did it, and maybe advice of how to get your own started.
Yeah. It really is inspirational to hear even just like, you know, narrative, anecdotal stories about how people have done it, because truly every business ownership journey is different
Oh yeah.
and it faces its own challenges. But, you know, I think that people really need to know and have confidence in the resources that are there. There's probably very few things that you haven't seen or don't have experience with, you know, in terms of problems that,
Sure.
that might arise. So I just, you know, again, thank you to Community First Bank for allowing us to do this.
Thanks for the
It's so much
opportunity.
fun, and
Yeah.
it's so fun to just pick the brains of our local experts and get to just have real and honest conversations with people. So I can't wait for people to hear this episode. Yeah, thank you to Community
thank
First
you.
Bank.
Thank you
Thanks,
for the invite.
Jonathan.
Yeah.
Appreciate it.